Earth for everyone, he whispered as another alien vessel disintegrated into space dust. Meanwhile, civilians on Earth watched the stars with wide eyes. Explosions lit up the night sky like fireworks, but these were not celebrations. They were warnings to the Armada. Still, humans did not panic. People helped each other climb from rubble, shared food, and carried those injured to safety. Even in the shadow of destruction, compassion endured. Humanity's true power was not just in weapons, it was in unity. Commander Lee's squadron prepared for a daring strike on a massive alien warship. It was a gamble. The vessel's shields were nearly impenetrable. But humans had learned quickly, and their ingenuity was unmatched. Drones disabled key systems, fighter jets targeted critical points, and an explosive charge pierced the ship's core. A massive fireball erupted, sending debris across the void. Lee's squadron narrowly escaped. They cheered quietly, but their joy was tempered by the memory of those they had lost. On Earth, President Alvarez addressed the world again. His voice carried hope and sorrow at the same time. Every loss is a tragedy, every victory a lesson. But we are human. We endure, we adapt, and above all, we protect each other. Across the planet, people held hands, whispered prayers, and drew courage from his words. They knew humanity was something greater than fear or despair. The Imperium's officers could not comprehend it. The humans fought not for conquest, not for hatred, not for power. They fought for love, for survival, for each other. Every action was driven by something the Armada could never understand. Heart. And that heart made them unstoppable. Aaron, watching the destruction of another alien vessel, felt a strange mixture of triumph and grief. Each explosion was necessary, each victory a step toward survival, but every life lost reminded him how fragile humanity could be. Yet even in the pain he felt pride. Humans were not perfect. They were flawed, emotional, unpredictable. But that unpredictability made them dangerous. Back in orbit, the remaining Imperial ships were in chaos. Pilots collided, weapons misfired, and the fleet fragmented under human strategy. Admiral Vark's face was pale. He had underestimated the enemy in every way. They are something else, he whispered. They are human. Commander Lee stood at the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, watching the horizon of space. Explosions flickered across the void and debris floated like stars of defeat. She felt exhaustion, fear, and sorrow, but also an unshakable resolve. Humanity would survive, humanity would endure, and humanity would rise stronger than ever before. On Earth, the people cheered quietly as news of human victory spread. But even in joy, they did not forget those who had fallen. Humanity's strength was not in the glory of destruction. It was in the love, courage, and unity that had made the impossible possible. And as Commander Lee and Aaron looked up at the sky, they realized something extraordinary. The battle was not just about survival. It was about proving something to the galaxy and, most importantly, to themselves. Humans were not just alive, they were alive with heart, courage, and a spirit no enemy could ever destroy. The heart of humanity had awakened, and nothing, not even the mightiest fleet in the galaxy, could stand against it. The Armada, battered and broken, tried to regroup near Mars. Their once perfect formations were shattered, and confusion spread among their officers. Admiral Vark's arrogance had turned into fear. Every human attack had been precise, every maneuver unexpected. We underestimated them, he muttered, staring at the view screen. His fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, was now crumbling under Earth's relentless defense. On Earth, humans did not pause. They pressed forward, using strategy, speed, and intelligence to strike the enemy where it was weakest. Fighter jets swooped through orbit like silver arrows, striking alien ships with deadly accuracy. Railguns fired massive projectiles from hidden stations, tearing through the hulls of Imperial vessels. Autonomous drones hacked enemy systems, turning alien technology against its own masters. Every move was coordinated, every strike counted. Humanity had become a force the galaxy had never seen. Commander Lee watched the battlefield with sharp eyes. "We cannot let them regroup," she ordered. Her pilots nodded, adrenaline surging through their veins. They dove into enemy lines, dodging fire, disabling weapons, and forcing ships to collide. Each explosion was a testament to human skill and courage. Lee felt a mix of fear and determination, knowing that every action could mean life or death. But that was what made humans strong. On Earth, civilians watched the skies with a mix of awe and terror. Flashes of light streaked across the atmosphere, some from alien fire, others from human counterattacks. Families held hands, whispering prayers and yet never losing hope. Humanity's courage was contagious. Even the youngest children understood that survival required bravery, unity, and trust in one another. In a command center deep underground, engineer Aaron coordinated drone strikes. His fingers flew across the console, launching waves of attacks on the remaining Armada ships. Each success brought a sense of triumph, but also a solemn reminder. War had a cost. Human lives were precious, and every battle took its toll. Aaron whispered, "We fight for them." For everyone. The Armada tried to fire back. Lasers, missiles, and bombs were unleashed, but Earth's defenses adapted faster than they could react. Ships malfunctioned, weapons misfired, and enemy pilots panicked. The mightiest conquerors in the galaxy were now prey to human intelligence and speed. President Alvarez addressed the world once more. His voice, calm yet filled with emotion, carried across every screen. Every day we survive, we prove our strength. Every victory reminds us of our courage. We are human. We endure, we fight, and we will protect our home. Across the planet, his words inspired unity. Even in darkness, humans were a light that refused to fade. Commander Lee led a daring strike against the flagship of the Armada. It was massive, heavily shielded, and deadly, but human ingenuity prevailed. Drones disabled critical systems, and fighter jets pierced the hull. Explosions erupted, lighting up space like a second sun. The flagship shattered into pieces, and the remaining enemy vessels faltered. Humanity's strength had turned the tide of battle. The galaxy watched in shock. Worlds that had once bowed to the Imperium now whispered of Earth. How could a small, fragile planet defeat the most feared fleet in history? The answer was simple. Humans were not just strong. They were unpredictable, courageous, and united by a heart the galaxy could not understand. Yet, even in victory, humans did not celebrate. They mourned the lost, remembered the fallen, and respected the cost of their fight. Every explosion, every victory carried weight. Humanity fought not for conquest, not for revenge, but to protect their world and those they loved. As debris floated silently through space, Commander Lee and Aaron watched from their respective posts. Exhaustion weighed on them, but so did pride. Humans had not just survived, they had shown the galaxy a truth that no armada could destroy. Intelligence, courage, and heart were more powerful than any weapon. The tide had turned. The armada was retreating, shattered and afraid, and humanity stood ready, united, and stronger than ever before. Admiral Vark sat in his command chair, staring at the shattered remnants of his once mighty fleet. His face was pale, his hands trembling. The Imperium had conquered countless worlds, but Earth was different. The humans had fought with something he could not understand: courage, intelligence, and a heart that no weapon could destroy. The remaining alien ships drifted aimlessly in space, damaged and broken. Communication lines failed, navigation systems malfunctioned, and morale crumbled. Every ship that fell reminded the Imperium that their arrogance had been their undoing. Vark whispered to himself, "They are humans. They are impossible." Commander Lee and her pilots did not hesitate. They struck relentlessly, targeting the remaining vessels with precision and speed. Fighter jets weaved through enemy fire, railguns tore through hulls, and drones sabotaged vital systems. Each attack was calculated, each victory a step closer to ending the threat for good. Humans were not just defending, they were hunting, turning survival into mastery. On Earth, civilians watched the skies light up with flashes of destruction. Some cried, some prayed, and some stood silently, hearts pounding with fear and hope. Humanity had faced annihilation and had responded with brilliance and courage. Every life mattered and every action counted. People clutched loved ones tightly, whispered encouragements, and drew strength from one another. The human spirit had become a weapon stronger than lasers or missiles. In a hidden underground bunker, Aaron guided the final wave of drones. His fingers flew across the console, sending commands to disable the remaining Armada ships. One by one, vessels lost control, spinning helplessly through space before exploding in silent fire. Aaron exhaled deeply, a mixture of relief and sorrow washing over him. Each victory was necessary, but every loss reminded him of what was at stake. President Alvarez addressed the world once more, his voice steady and full of emotion. "We have faced the impossible. We have stared into the void and refused to bow. Today, humanity proves that courage, unity, and heart can triumph over even the greatest enemy. We endure, we protect each other, and we will always rise. His words spread across cities, villages, and remote outposts, lifting spirits and reinforcing hope. Back in orbit, Commander Lee approached. The sky over Earth was calm, peaceful, and blue. Birds flew across cities, oceans sparkled under the morning sun, and children laughed in parks, unaware of the danger approaching them. Far beyond the clouds, far beyond the reach of human eyes, something dark and massive moved silently through space. It was the Imperial Armada, the most feared fleet in the galaxy. Ships black as night and sharp as knives moved in perfect formation, stretching across the stars like a living shadow. They were coming to conquer Earth. Inside the command ship of the Armada, Admiral Vark stood tall, his eyes fixed on the planet below. His face was hard, cold, filled with arrogance. "This world will kneel," he said, his voice echoing across the control room. "Like every other planet, it will fall before the might of the Imperium." Around him, officers nodded, confident in the Armada's power. They had crushed countless civilizations. They had destroyed entire worlds. And they believed Earth would be no different. Meanwhile, on Earth, people went about their daily lives. Farmers tended their fields, students walked to schools, and workers crowded the streets. Humanity had never looked beyond the stars, never imagined that the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy had chosen them as their next target. But a few had seen the signs. Scientists and military strategists had detected the Armada weeks before. They had warned governments, prepared defenses, and held secret meetings. Yet the world above remained oblivious to the approaching storm. As the first Imperial ships entered Earth's orbit, satellites picked up their presence instantly. Panic rippled through the world. Military bases activated, fighter jets scrambled, and emergency sirens echoed across cities. But amid the fear, a strange calm filled the hearts of those who understood one truth: humans would not surrender. Humans never surrendered. President Alvarez appeared on every screen, his expression serious but steady. "People of Earth," he said, "we face an enemy unlike any before. But remember this, we are human. We adapt, we endure, and we fight. Stay together, protect one another, and trust that humanity will survive." Far above, the Armada unleashed its first salvo. Beams of energy, more powerful than anything humans had seen, struck Earth's atmosphere. Cities should have burned, oceans should have boiled, but nothing happened. The energy dissolved in the sky, harmless as if Earth itself had swallowed it. Admiral Vark froze, staring at the screen. "Impossible," he muttered. "Every strike. Nullified. How?" Around him, officers whispered and shook their heads in disbelief. No planet had ever resisted them. None had survived their first attack. And yet Earth had done exactly that. From underground bunkers to hidden command centers, humans launched their counterattack. Drones streaked into the sky, intercepting enemy missiles. Fighter jets rose into orbit, striking alien vessels. Satellite weapons fired precise beams that tore through the Armada's formation. Systems overloaded, engines exploded, and alien ships collided in chaos. In one city, a young engineer named Aaron typed commands rapidly in a dim control room. Each keystroke directed drones and satellites to intercept the enemy. He watched in awe as alien ships exploded one by one. We can do this," he whispered to himself, heart pounding. And on the front lines, Commander Lee of the United Earth Defense Force coordinated the defense. Her voice was calm, her orders precise. She had trained for this moment for years, preparing humanity for the impossible. Watching the chaos unfold, she felt a surge of pride. Humans were not just defending. They were fighting with cunning, courage, and unbreakable will. The Armada's officers screamed orders, but it was too late. Their mighty fleet was breaking apart. Ships exploded silently in space. Debris scattered like fireflies in the darkness. Humanity had taken a small, fragile planet and turned it into a deadly trap for the galaxy's greatest warriors. For the first time, a civilization had faced the most feared conquerors in the galaxy and survived. Humans were not prey. They were predators. And as Earth's defenders watched the destruction of the Armada begin, hope and fear mixed in their hearts. They did not yet know how far this battle would go, but one thing was certain: humanity had awakened. And the galaxy would never forget it. Admiral Vark could hardly believe what was happening. His mighty Imperial Armada, The fleet that had conquered countless planets was crumbling in Earth's orbit. Every strike they sent was intercepted, every plan undone. His officers, once confident and proud, now whispered in fear. "How is this possible?" one of them asked. But Vark had no answer. He had underestimated humanity. On Earth, humans moved with precision and courage. Fighter jets rose into the sky, leaving streaks of light behind them as they darted through orbit, dodging alien beams and striking back with deadly accuracy. Railguns stationed in hidden mountain bases and underground bunkers fired rounds that tore through the Armada's ships. Drones, small but fast, zipped between vessels, planting explosives and hacking into alien systems. Every attack was calculated, every move smart, every strike lethal. Commander Lee led her squadron with calm determination. "We fight not just to survive," she said. "We fight to protect our home." Her pilots nodded, trusting her judgment completely. Together they danced through space, avoiding fire, striking hard, and vanishing before the enemy could react. It was a battle of speed, intelligence, and courage. On the ground, civilians watched the skies light up with explosions. Fear was everywhere, but so was awe. People held hands, whispered prayers, and watched as humanity's strength revealed itself. Teachers calmed their students, parents embraced their children, and strangers comforted strangers. Every human heart, small or large, was filled with hope. In a hidden control center, young engineer Aaron typed commands rapidly. Satellites, drones, and defense systems responded instantly to his input. Each alien ship that exploded brought a mix of relief and sorrow. Humanity fought, yes, but at a cost. Every strike reminded them of the price of survival. Aaron whispered to himself, "We can do this. We must do this." The Armada tried to regroup. Ships fired lasers, missiles, and bombs in a desperate attempt to regain control. But Earth's defenses adapted faster than they could react. Every system the Armada used was quickly turned against them. Navigation systems failed, weapons misfired, and ships collided in chaos. The Imperium's most powerful fleet was falling apart, and humans were the storm behind it. President Alvarez addressed the world again. His voice was calm but filled with emotion. "Do not fear," he said. "We are human, we endure. We protect one another, and together we will face this threat." His words spread across every city, every village, every heart. They reminded people that courage could overcome even the greatest fear. Commander Lee's squadron launched a final strike against a massive alien warship. The vessel's shields were strong, but humans were smarter. Drones disabled the defenses and fighter jets pierced the hull. Explosions lit up space, reflecting off the stars as the warship broke apart. Lee's pilots cheered quietly, feeling a mixture of triumph and grief. Each victory came with a reminder. War was terrible, but survival was priceless. The galaxy watched in disbelief. The most feared conquerors in history were falling in days, destroyed not by overwhelming force but by cunning, strategy, and human courage. Earth, a planet once considered insignificant, had become a battlefield that no one had survived before. And humanity had not only survived, they had dominated. But humans did not celebrate openly. They mourned every loss, remembered every sacrifice, and respected the cost of their fight. Each explosion, each victory was a lesson in resilience. Humans fought not out of hatred, not out of desire for glory, but to protect what they loved, their home, their families, their world. And as the last of the Imperial ships began to retreat, a new feeling spread across Earth: hope. Humans had faced the impossible, and they had not just endured, they had fought back with brilliance and heart. They had awakened something ancient and powerful in their spirit: the will to survive, the courage to fight, and the strength to overcome any enemy. The Armada was beaten, but the battle was far from over. Humans knew that, but for the first time in history they realized something incredible. No matter how strong the enemy, no matter how dark the future seemed, humans would never give up. They would fight. They would survive, and they would rise. Amid the chaos of battle, life on Earth carried on in ways that defined humanity. In cities, families huddled together in shelters, listening to the distant roars of alien fire. Parents held their children tightly, whispering courage into their ears. Even in fear, humans found strength in one another. It was not weapons or strategy alone that defended Earth. It was the heart of its people. Commander Lee moved through the control rooms of the United Earth Defense Force like a conductor of a vast orchestra. Every signal from satellites, every movement of fighter jets, every drone's path was her responsibility. And yet, amid the calculations and commands, she remembered the faces of the people she was protecting. That memory gave her strength. Every plan she executed carried a human heartbeat behind it. On the battlefield in space, human pilots danced between beams of alien fire. They dodged missiles with impossible speed, striking back with precision and courage. Young Aaron, in a dimly lit underground bunker, guided drones to sabotage the enemy ship's systems. Each explosion sent shivers down his spine, but he never stopped. For Ea, the last remaining flagship of the Imperium, it floated crippled and powerless. She signaled a final warning: surrender or be destroyed. The alien officers, broken and terrified, had no choice. They sent a signal of surrender, and for the first time in history, the Imperium yielded to humans. Humans did not celebrate with cruelty. They showed mercy, capturing the surviving aliens without harm. Humanity's victory was complete, but it was tempered with honor. Strength did not require hatred. Power did not demand destruction beyond necessity. Commander Lee reflected on this as she watched the surrendering officers. Humanity had won not only with weapons, but with heart. Across the globe, people cheered quietly, tears streaming down their faces. Survivors embraced, mourning the fallen but honoring their sacrifice. Humanity had defended its home and had done so with courage, intelligence, and compassion. They had faced the galaxy's deadliest conquerors and emerged victorious. Admiral Vark, humbled and broken, realized the truth too late. Humans were unpredictable, united, and unyielding. No fleet, no weapon, no empire could crush them. They are unstoppable, he admitted, his voice barely audible. And as the Armada's last ships were taken or destroyed, humanity stood ready, not just to survive, but to thrive. They had learned that their greatest strength was not their weapons, not their technology, but their heart, courage, and unity. Every life, every soul had fought together to protect something worth more than victory itself. Earth, home, and family. Commander Lee, Aaron, and the people of Earth looked up at the stars, knowing that humanity had changed forever. They had faced the impossible, conquered fear itself, and proved that even against the mightiest empire, humans would endure. The enemy had fallen. Humanity had won, and the galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. To face humans was to face the impossible. Months had passed since the last Imperial ship had fallen, and Earth was slowly healing. Cities that had been scarred by battle now buzzed with life again. Buildings were repaired, roads cleared, and communities came together to rebuild what had been lost. Humanity had faced annihilation, and now they were stronger, more united, and more determined than ever. Commander Lee stood on a newly rebuilt observation tower, looking up at the stars. The sky seemed quieter now, almost peaceful, but her mind was still alert. They may return someday, she whispered to herself. But we will be ready. Her voice carried determination, not fear. Humanity had learned lessons that no alien army could ever erase. Courage, unity, and heart were their greatest weapons. In underground control centers, young engineer Aaron reviewed the defense systems that had saved the planet. He remembered the nights of constant alerts, the endless calculations, and the heart-pounding moments of battle. Yet he also remembered the people. Families clutching each other, soldiers giving their all, and the quiet bravery of ordinary citizens. Humanity had survived not just because of technology, but because of the human spirit. Across Earth, people celebrated cautiously. Children played in parks where rubble had once lain, their laughter a sweet reminder of life's resilience. Parents watched them with tears in their eyes, grateful for another day, another chance to protect what they loved. Survivors told stories of courage and hope, passing them from one generation to the next. Humanity had become a living legend, a species that had faced the impossible and endured. Commander Lee walked through a memorial for the fallen soldiers. Names were etched in stone, each one a reminder of the cost of survival. She placed her hand on the smooth surface, feeling the weight of sacrifice. "We honor you," she whispered. "Your courage will guide us forever." The memorial was quiet yet powerful, a symbol of humanity's resilience and determination. President Alvarez addressed the world in a special broadcast. His words carried both pride and solemnity. "We have faced the deadliest enemy in the galaxy," he said. "We have survived, rebuilt, and proven that humanity's courage is unmatched. But our strength is not in weapons alone, it is in our hearts, in our unity, and in our love for one another. Never forget that. Across continents, people listened, inspired and comforted by his words. Even as Earth healed, humans prepared for the future. Defense systems were improved, communication networks strengthened, and strategies refined. Humanity had learned that survival required vigilance, ingenuity, and courage. Yet despite all the preparation, one truth remained. Humans would face any challenge together. With heart and unity as their guiding force, Aaron stood on a hill at sunset watching the sky turn orange and gold. He thought of the battles, the lives lost, and the courage that had carried them through. "We survived because we are human," he said softly. "We fight for each other, and that is something no one can ever destroy." Commander Lee joined him, her eyes reflecting the fading light. "We have rebuilt more than our cities," she said. "We have rebuilt ourselves. Humanity will not bow to fear. We will rise stronger, wiser, and braver." She smiled faintly, knowing that the battles had forged a new kind of strength in every human heart. Across the planet, in quiet moments and bustling streets, one thing was clear. Humanity had changed forever. They had faced an enemy that seemed unstoppable, and yet they had survived. They had lost much, but they had gained something greater. The knowledge that courage, unity, and love could overcome any threat. And as Earth rotated beneath the warm sun, life continued. Humans rebuilt, remembered, and hoped. The stars above were no longer a source of fear, they were a canvas of possibility. Humanity had endured the impossible, and their spirit would shine brighter than any fleet. Any weapon, any enemy. The battle was over, but the legacy of courage had just begun. The galaxy had learned the truth about Earth. News of humanity's victory over the Imperial Armada spread like wildfire across star systems. Worlds that once trembled before the Imperium now whispered the name of humans with awe and fear. They had faced the most powerful fleet in history and not only survived, they had annihilated it. And the galaxy realized something simple yet impossible. Humans were unstoppable. Commander Lee stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, staring at the stars. She thought of the battles, the explosions, the fear, and the courage. She had led pilots through fire and chaos, seen friends fall, and witnessed humanity's heart shine brighter than any weapon. "We are not just survivors," she whispered. "We are something more. We are humanity." Back on Earth, young engineer Aaron watched the sunset from a quiet hill. The sky glowed orange and gold, and the world seemed calm again. He thought of every explosion, every calculation, every life saved, and every life lost. Humanity had endured the impossible, and yet despite the scars, they were stronger than ever. "We faced death and fear itself," he murmured. "And we did not bow. That is who we are." Across the planet, families lived with a quiet pride. Children played in fields that had once been battle zones, oblivious to the horrors above them. Parents and teachers told stories of courage and ingenuity, of pilots who danced among enemy fire, of engineers who turned alien weapons into humanity's shield. These stories became legends, whispers of inspiration that would be passed from generation to generation. Humanity had not just survived, they had become a symbol. Commander Lee reflected on the surrender of the Imperium. The aliens had expected a weak, primitive race, one that could be crushed in days. They had misjudged the humans' courage, intelligence, and heart. Now the Imperium had learned that a human planet could not be conquered, a human people could not be intimidated, and a human spirit could not be broken. President Alvarez addressed the world one final time about the battle. "We have faced extinction," he said. "We have stared into the void and refused to bow. We have proven that courage, unity, and heart are stronger than fear, stronger than weapons, stronger than empires. Humanity will endure. Humanity will rise, and one day the stars themselves will remember our name." In the orbital command center, Aaron and Lee exchanged a quiet smile. They had survived the impossible together. They had witnessed humanity's heart triumph over machines, lasers, and fear. Every strategy, every sacrifice, every moment of courage had proven that humans were not just strong, they were legendary. The galaxy watched, silent and wary. No empire would forget Earth. No fleet would dare attack without thinking twice. Humanity had become a symbol of defiance, of brilliance, of courage, and even more than that, they had become a reminder. No matter how small, how fragile, or how underestimated, humans could achieve the impossible. And on Earth, life continued. Cities rebuilt, laughter returned, and love thrived. Yet humanity carried a quiet pride. a knowledge deep in every heart that they were capable of facing any challenge. The stars were no longer a source of fear. They were a canvas, a challenge, and a promise. Humans had looked into the void and shown the galaxy who they truly were. Intelligent, brave, united, and unstoppable. As Commander Lee gazed at the sky one last time that evening, she felt hope bloom in her chest. The battle had ended, but the legacy of humanity had just begun. The galaxy would remember Earth, not as a weak world, but as the birthplace of courage, ingenuity, and heart. Humanity had survived the impossible. Humanity had conquered fear itself. Humanity had become a legend, and the stars would never forget the name of Earth. The Armada had come to conquer. Humans had annihilated them instantly,